Another NBA season has come and gone. We've made it to the playoffs. How are we feeling, boys?
I'm excited, man. This is nothing like last year when we had half the teams missing their stars. Pretty much every team involved is healthy with a few exceptions. Gonna be a dogfight out in the West. A few less close ones in the East, but 3-6 and 4-5 I think are still gonna be pretty interesting. So I think we're shaping up for a good first round here.
Yeah, very excited. The entire West, but outside of OKC, is like 50-win teams, basically, so that'll be interesting. The East is less interesting, but we'll get into that.
Why don't we start it off with the East? We're recording this Wednesday, April 16th. The Heat are playing the Bulls as we speak. I don't really think any of that matters, regardless of if it's the Heat, the Bulls, or the Hawks. I think we're all on the same page with this 1-8 matchup. It's Cavs in 4, maybe 5, right? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, I would hope we're all in agreement there.
Yeah, the Cavs have pretty much dominated worse teams for the most part because they've dominated most teams for the most part. So, yeah, I don't think there's any team in that could win more than one game.
All right, with that out of the way, that riveting series, we move on to an equally crazy, very hotly contested series here. We got the Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic. I'm just going to say Celtics in 4. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, Celtics in 4. This is, I believe, the best three-point shooting team versus the worst in the league, and
that passes the
Store
eye
doesn't
test.
go much further than that.
I do believe that they're the best defensive three-point shooter, like defending the three. The Magic are the best, one of the best in the league. I don't think it'll be a sweep. I've heard that Jaylen Brown might be dealing with some injury. I do think that the Magic will at least get one game. So I'd probably say 5.
That's fair, yeah.
Celtics in 5.
Jaylen Brown, he's got like a knee injury. They gave him an injection. He's going to play, though. The Magic are missing players and just aren't good enough offensively, in my opinion, to keep up. So I don't think this one will be that close, but I could see him getting a game, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. They probably steal a game. I mean, when Paolo and Franz get going, they have the potential to go for 40. Not that they do it a whole lot. And like you were saying, the Magic are pretty good against the three, and they're pretty decent in space too. Like they don't have any big slow-footed guys really. John Isaac can defend out on the perimeter, so maybe they can slow them down. Celtics have a shooting slump one game, but yeah, it's gonna be 4 or 5.
All right, this is where it gets real for me, at least. We're looking at the 3-seed Knicks versus the 6-seed Pistons. I'll kick it to you guys first, because I got a lot of thoughts on this one.
I don't think it's quite as close as some people have been saying. The Pistons' defense is solid, but I don't know that they have the personnel to stop the Knicks, and especially Cat. I really don't have faith in the Pistons' offense either to kind of make up that gap. Really, this comes down to like Jalen Duren. I don't trust him to guard Cat in space. Cat can totally just get to the mid-range around guys like that. And, play make, pretty underrated when the defense collapses. For the Pistons, if you have Cade on Brunson, which is probably the matchup I would go for, that's definitely a mismatch, but Brunson is still pretty good about just using his strength to create shots against guys who are a lot bigger than him. That's kind of his whole bag, that and foul grifting, of course, but sure we'll see plenty of that. In terms of defending Cade, you definitely don't want Brunson on him. I would put either OG or McHale on him. Probably OG because I think McHale's stronger off ball. But then I guess you have to have a size mismatch somewhere else if you go OG. But I probably accept that. But yeah, ultimately I just trust the Knicks offense a lot more, especially if it's a close game. I think the experience, the better shooting, the ability to play 5 out against a guy like Jalen Duren, it just makes it pretty clear. I mean, I could see things going wrong if Cat gets into foul trouble, which he is prone to do, especially in the playoffs. I think Mitch Robb is a little less little less potent in this matchup than he is in certain other ones. So ultimately, I think I'm going Knicks in 5 or 6. I think I'll lock down 5 on this one though.
Yeah, looking at it's funny, the Pistons actually beat the Knicks the last 3 times they played. I didn't get a chance to watch any of those games, but just looking at the spacing here for the Pistons, I'm just not sold on Ausar Thompson and Jalen Duren starting together. I guess Isaiah Stewart can stretch the floor a little bit, but I think Tibbs is licking his chops at seeing Jalen Duren and Ausar Thompson on the floor at the same time. I don't know if the Pistons have enough experience and offensive talent outside of Cade to really do much unless we're sold on Schroeder just going off. And yeah, the Knicks they've beat up on some of the worst teams in the league, and not that the Pistons are one of the worst teams in the league, but certainly one of the most inexperienced teams in the playoffs. So yeah, I would give it 6 just because, I don't know, Cade might go off for like a 40-point triple-double like one game, and then playoff Cat hasn't really been as consistent as one would hope, but Brunson's huge in the playoffs, and I do think that Mikal Bridges and Anunoby and all these guys have a lot of playoff experience. I'm realizing that just now they have Campaign, Landry and Mikal Bridges, so this is just like a variation of the 2021 Suns. Yeah, I got Knicks in 6. I don't think it'll be as close as one would think of a 4-2.
Okay, we're not super far off here. I do have the Knicks. I've got them in 7 though. I think this will be a tough series for them. That's for a couple of reasons. Like you guys were saying, you definitely don't want Brunson on Cade. I think you put OG on him. On offense for the Knicks, I think Josh Hart's weird, aggressive shooting season is just a disaster for them in the playoffs. Like, teams are guarding him like he's Ben Simmons. Like, that is horrendous. And, I mean, if you can focus all your attention on Jalen Brunson and Cat, like, I don't think you're going to have that much trouble stopping the Knicks on offense. As far as the Pistons offense, I mean, yeah, they do have some shooting, some spacing issues. I mean, they've played through those all year, though. They're sort of familiar with how to attack the paint even without a lot of spacing, and as we all know, Karl Anthony Towns is not exactly a defensive anchor that you're scared of going at. So I think the Pistons are in with a chance in this series. I am taking the Knicks because of what you guys said, their experience, and despite the season that he coached this season, I just don't know that I trust JB Bickerstaff, especially not over Tibbs in round 1. As we get deeper into the playoffs, you start to trust Tibbs less and less, but he'll have no problem playing all his guys 1,000 minutes in this series. So yeah, Knicks in 7, pretty close series, pretty entertaining series, I think.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to watch much of the Knicks this year, but especially against the top teams. But like their record against the top teams is just comically bad. So I don't know if that would play a factor here. But I think they're like, I don't know what the qualifications is, but they're like 0-13 or something versus the top teams in the league. So
yeah, I believe they've not won a game against the Celtics, Cavs, or Thunder. Is the stat.
Yeah, I saw something similar where if you extend that to like the next like 6 best teams in terms of overall record, they're like 5-18 or something like that.
I don't know. I think you're slightly underselling the Knicks offense, especially Cat. I don't see how you can manage to slow down Cat with that center rotation that the Pistons have.
You could just have Isaiah Stewart kill him.
Yeah, I mean, that does work. If you can get him in foul trouble too. I mean, yeah, like I was saying, you don't want Mitch Rob on the floor. But yeah, I think Cat is gonna kind of fry Isaiah Stewart and Duren.
Okay, last matchup in the East. The 4-seed Pacers against the 5-seed Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously no Dame, at least for the start of the series. His status is kind of questionable from what I've been seeing.
I'm just going to talk about the Damian Lillard stuff. I don't know why it's even being brought up that he might come back. I mean, I'm not a blood clot aficionado, but like it just doesn't seem like a good timeline to have a blood clot and then come back like a couple months later. Like they just shut down Wemby for the season for kind of similar things. So I mean, maybe he just jeopardizes his like life for the Bucks organization, but like that's just odd to me. I don't see why he would play this round.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little ridiculous to have him come back for a team that has like a second round exit ceiling. And he also just, maybe I'm reading too much into it, he looks pretty out of shape too, from what I've seen.
I saw that, yeah. He looked fat as fuck in that picture.
yeah, you said it. Yeah, I think it would be really stupid of them to bring back Dame. Granted, I mean, yeah, I'm not a blood clot expert. So with that knowledge, I think this is actually still a pretty competitive series, just because Giannis cannot be stopped by this Pacers defense. Like, Miles Turner is going to be food. Pascal Siakam is going to be food for him. You can pack the paint and let him shoot the mid-range, but, you know, with what we've seen this season, that's become a massive weapon for him. And also the playmaking has improved. He can pass out and let other dudes shoot. And the Bucks are a pretty underrated shooting team, actually. They're definitely top 10 in I think, percentage and total makes. But I would still rather have that than just let Giannis, get to the rim. The size and speed of Giannis also allows him to kind of disrupt in the transition that the Pacers take advantage of. But ultimately, that's still one guy, and I think the Pacers, transition offense, outlet pass stuff is a little too strong for one guy to stop. Then on the other side, I think Tyrese can pick the Bucks apart in the half court. I don't think he can score like he was last season. I think his volume is still going to be pretty limited. I don't think we're going to be seeing him go for above 30 anytime soon. But Siakam and Mathurin, I think, can make up that volume gap. Brook Lopez is a point of concern for me. The Pacers, they can play 5 out with Miles Turner. They move around a ton off ball. Most of those guys can shoot. I do not like anything that Brook Lopez does. I think he's honestly borderline unplayable in this matchup. He's basically useless outside of the paint on defense at this point in his career. So it really comes down to, do you trust Giannis to go like 2018 Bron and just drop 40-point triple doubles every night, which I think is a legitimate possibility. I don't know if I have that much faith, so I am going Pacers in 7, but this is a bit of a toss-up for me.
Yeah, I'm on a similar page. I'm gonna spoil my pick. I'm going Pacers in 6. I just think they're overall a better team. Their offense is obviously incredible. Their defense this season has been really underrated, especially like through the last month or so of the season. They're playing great ball right now. Giannis, at this moment, right now, might be the best player in the world, though. He has been going fucking insane. And when you have a guy like that on your team, you never feel like you're out of a series. So like you just said at the end there, Zach, I would not be surprised if he just took over and won the series by himself. I think there are worse options to put on him than Pascal Siakam. Like, you don't feel great about that, but you don't feel great about putting anyone on Giannis. My problem with the Bucks, though, is their starting point guard is Kevin Porter Jr. You just don't want that in the playoffs. They are also starting 2025 Brook Lopez and Kyle Kuzma, and their head coach is Doc Rivers. So I simply can't pick them to win a series given all that information. I don't care if they had Michael Jordan and LeBron.
You're not moved by Kyle Kuzma? Come on.
He's been heating up.
Hot garbage. Yeah, the Pacers are an intriguing team because on paper they look like a good defensive team, and then I don't know. I haven't seen them in to close the season, but I mean they just give up so many points. It just does seem like their pace of play is just like really high, and that's kind of what does that, which would kind of ameliorate like what Giannis does, because Giannis isn't going to get more than, if he gets an and one, there's a 60% chance he makes the free throw and scores 3. And the Pacers just shoot so many threes. I know the Bucks do as well, but I'm just not moved by Kyle Kuzma and Taurean Prince. Taurean Prince is a good shooter, but without Lillard, I just don't think they have the firepower to keep up. The Pacers are really deep. The Bucks might have to dig into Pat Connaughton.
40 piece the other day, though. You get that?
Yeah. So I was leaning Pacers in 6. They do have home court, so that would be in Milwaukee, but I still think that's probably a pretty likely outcome for the Pacers in 6. Obi Toppin's solid off the bench, which I didn't know he didn't play that many minutes until fairly recently. I think the depth of the Pacers is just too much with the Bucks being out Lillard.
I do want to say, when you brought up Taurean Prince, I forgot to mention that their top assistant is also Darvin Ham, which is just another reason you can never pick them. So those are our East picks in the first round here. We all agreed on everything and picked the higher seed every time, I'm realizing. But
Nuance takes over here.
That would have worked in March Madness this year, so maybe it'll be the same here. We're moving on to the West, though. I think we're going to be looking at a similar situation with this 1-8 matchup. It's not decided yet. It's the Thunder versus somebody. I think you could combine the three remaining teams that it could be, and the Thunder would still win.
I don't know, man. I'm moved by this Mavs team. Mavs are winning the championship. You can book it and take it to the bank.
The Kings won't make it out of the play-in, but the other two teams, Memphis and Dallas, I think they could pretty easily steal a game or two just by beating OKC on the boards. That's been their weakness this whole season. And when you have, a big guy like AD, or, there's a variety of rotation bigs that Memphis brings in, I could see them using that as a method to just kind of box out Chet, bitch him around a little bit. But yeah, that'll only steal a game or two. Not going to predict an upset here.
Yeah, I'm going sweep regardless of who it is. I'd maybe like the Grizzlies to take a game, but nah, I'm just locking in Thunder in 4.
I mean, yeah, I think Grizzlies might get a game or like keep it pretty close, but nothing serious.
All right, moving it on. We've got 2-seed Houston Rockets taking on the Golden State Warriors.
This is basically the most experienced playoff team versus the least experienced, at least in the West, which is an interesting situation to be in. I think it's really going to come down to Steph here and his ability to take over for the series. I think the physicality and athleticism of Houston is really going to limit Jimmy's ability to score with any meaningful volume. But then in the regular season, the Rockets beat the Warriors with Jimmy. And they did that by blitzing Steph, really hindering him, force the other guys to beat you. Because Steph and Jimmy are literally the only two offensive threats on this team. I'm totally okay with allowing Pods, Kuminga, and Buddy Hield to try and make shots to beat me if I'm Houston. On the other side, I feel like it's kind of a similar story in that the Rockets' offense is not all that good. And Jimmy and Draymond can cause some problems. I think you put Jimmy on Jalen Green, Draymond, and Sengun. I think that really limits the both of them. But the Rockets have been winning this season in transition. I think Golden State has a big weakness there with just how small and old and slow they are, and I think that's going to continue. I think I just trust Houston a little more to shut down the Warriors. The Warriors have less in the tank than people seem to predict. We know all the playoff Jimmy and whatnot, but at this point, we're dealing with like a fucking 36-year-old man here. I do not trust him to initiate offense and score with volume against Amen Thompson. So I'm going Rockets, but I think I'm going in 7. The experience and Curry's ability to just take over a series will make this a close one regardless.
Yeah, the playoff Jimmy in question is a 21-point-a-game scorer versus like an 18-point-a-game scorer. So before the play-in game, I was like, the Warriors are just gonna beat the hell out of the Grizzlies and just walk into the 7th spot. It was a very close game, even though they went up 20 in the first half. Just very sloppy from the Warriors. I'm just not moved when at the end of the season they're just not doing very well. Winning a lot of games coming up to the end of the season with Jimmy after the trade, but haven't really played many solid teams. Yeah, looking at the Rockets, we got just like so many good defenders to hound Steph, and the Warriors really don't have a lot of spacing in the play-in game. They had like Zach Edey on Jimmy Butler for like a lot of the game. I'm not very moved, unless of course he gets 25 free throw attempts per game. Him and Draymond are just kind of gonna kill the spacing for Steph. Like on a Draymond Green handoff, you can just double Steph. They've had the issue of don't really play Jonathan Kuminga. I think he's a restricted free agent, so that's going to be an interesting situation in the offseason.
I don't know if not playing Kuminga is that much of an issue. It might be an issue for the Rockets. They'd like to have him out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. We don't have to get into the cum bucket discussion currently, but not very moved by the Warriors' supporting cast outside Jimmy and Curry, and the Rockets just have a ton of options. They also have the double big option, which I would think in the playoffs would be horrible, but Jaren Jackson Jr. and Edie worked fine versus the Warriors, caused a lot of problems for them. Couldn't really take advantage of the opportunities of having Edie switched on to you for a lot of the game. So yeah, I was thinking, I don't know. So the Rockets have home court, so they'd have home court in Game 7. Yeah, I'd probably say 7. My gut's saying 6. Rockets in 6, but I'll go Rockets in 7. And shout out Jeff Green and Jock Landale, I guess.
My thoughts here, and I don't know how much this is going to weigh into my prediction, because I haven't decided yet, but do we really think Mr. Adam Silver is going to let this be called straight and avoid a Lakers-Warriors second round? I don't know. I think we might see, to your point, Ben, Sir James Butler III shooting 48 free throws per game. Either way, I think I'm going Warriors in 7. They've got more experience. Playoff Jimmy is a myth, but his first round numbers are genuinely pretty good, so maybe he's able to turn it on. I don't know, he is old as hell at this point. You know, the Warriors, this is sort of a last dance type of thing for them. They will not be contenders next season, I don't think. This is their last chance to make anything happen. They've got the guys to do it. I think they've got probably the 2 best players in the series and more experience. So for those reasons mostly, I'm picking them in 7. But, I mean, the Rockets are a problematic matchup for them. We saw that in the last game that they played in the regular season, where they were, you know, all those clips were going viral of them doubling Steph, and he wasn't able to do anything about it. I don't know, maybe I trust Steve Kerr to work a way around that. I really don't know anymore. He's an enigmatic figure. Yeah, the Warriors have championship experience. They've got the old fucks. The unction to round 2 is my official prediction.
Yeah, you mentioned Steve Kerr, but the Rockets have Udoka, and he's actually been a very good coach. And, you know, he was good with the Celtics. He's good with this team. You know, I'm not very moved by Steve Kerr as a coach. I just think having Draymond and Curry for 15 years with Clay and has kind of carried him. Some of the Team USA coaching wasn't exactly elite.
But for putting Tatum on the bench, that was.
This is true. This is true. Never mind. No, Warriors in 7. No.
One more thought here. I'm not moved by the double big lineup against a team that can shoot in any capacity, because you're able to sort of maneuver your way into getting Steven Adams on, say, Curry or Jimmy Butler. That's probably a problem for you. You don't want both bigs on the court at the same time, because you can stick one on Draymond and just not care about it, but the fact that you've got 2 matchup problems out there could easily become a problem in the playoffs when the offense slows down and you have more time to get the matchups you want.
In the play-in game, they drop so hard on Jimmy Butler from, I don't know what his status is for shooting jump shots, because he didn't really take any in the Memphis game. But you can't actually matchup hunt and get a screen when the guy is in the paint, so it's an interesting thing there. And Jimmy's been super passive the whole time on the Warriors. You know, outside of like the free throws and like, you know, a couple layups, I'm not very moved by Jimmy. And based on the performance in the play-in, kind of shifted the entire outcome of the series for me, or, you know, at least what I'm predicting here. So
maybe moving away from real analysis here, but Jimmy is a certified aura farmer. I think he's going to be taking shots in the playoffs. We've now got 3 seed Lakers versus the 6 seed Timberwolves. Ben, we're going to hear from you first here.
It's an interesting matchup because this entire series is just going to be on Gobert. Like, if Gobert averages 10 and 16, the Timberwolves will get swept. They need like 20 points a game from Gobert. I don't think they have anyone to defend the Lakers' big 3. Not moved by Mike Conley. Luka cooked them in the playoffs last year. Yeah, with Gobert, he's going to need to be like a very big plus on offense, because on defense, I think they can completely eliminate a lot of his strengths, because a lot of the lineups are LeBron, Rui, Finney Smith, Reeves, and Doncic, and you can kind of just have 5 out. Luka, LeBron, and Reeves are great playmakers and great drivers and great shooters, so it's like, I don't think they have a shot. It's just going to be a lot on Gobert defensively to carry them, which I just don't see happening. Even with Hayes on the floor, like, do you really want Gobert stepping up on Luka with Jackson Hayes in the dunker spot? Like, it's either a lob or a 3 anytime Gobert helps. So I could see them defending that all right in some games, and just trying to take advantage of matchup hunting onto like Doncic or Reeves. But, you know, I think they'll probably matchup hunt Reeves, which kind of like gives Doncic the ability to not play as much defense and save his energy for offense. Or if you matchup hunt Luka, then Austin's just going to be going off because he's going to have the energy from guarding like Conley on the perimeter. So I have the Lakers in 5. Lakers in 5. Unironically, Lakers in 5, because I think Ant has been like a really good shooter. I think I'll check. He's like on 12 attempts on like 40% shooting damn near. So yeah, it's 10 attempts a game, 39.5%. They need like 45 out of him for a win. Just like the problem was last year, they don't have like a secondary playmaker. I mean, Mike Conley's there, but he's very old. They just need an extra switchable wing defender or ball handler, because I'm not moved by their current roster. I mean, there's Randall, so.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes.
Yeah. Certainly there could go nothing wrong with Randall's offense in the playoffs.
Like you were saying, Ben, if I'm JJ, I'm definitely going small here. I want Jackson Hayes playing like max 15 minutes a game, because Gobert's like, he's just not offensively good enough to take advantage of going against a small ball lineup. Like, he cannot like catch the ball, you know, he can't commit 2 post moves to memory. So like he's not good enough to take advantage of any like small ball lineup. And then yeah, when you have 5 out with the big 3 and then DFS and Hachimura, you can just drag him away from the rim where he's, you know, most effective. For Ant, I mean, I think he's gonna get his, because there's no ridiculous rim protection on the back end for LA. He can really attack Reeves and Luka. I will say, I think the 3-point volume might get limited a little bit, because the Lakers switch well, and 1 through 4 they're pretty big, so there's always going to be a 6'5" dude in front of him basically. Sometimes it's a 6'5" dude who can get past, but you know, it's just a big body that he's got to shoot in front of. The Lakers are great on help, so even if he does get past, I think he's not the greatest playmaker when the defense collapses on him, so he might get to work in the mid-range, which I'm probably okay with. That's probably his weakest area, which is not saying a whole lot. But for Luka and LeBron, I just have serious concerns about mismatches. I mean, Randall can't give the effort. Jaden doesn't have the size for either of them. They don't play off ball enough to handle the LeBron like post passing. If only they had Cat, I think that would have made it a lot better, but you know, couldn't let that happen. I'm also going Lakers in 5, I think. And we are also, like you said, dealing with Julius Randle in the playoffs. Not what you like to see. I believe he's the worst playoff dropper in history with certain sample size.
He's probably up there, yeah.
Unless somebody's died in the playoffs, I think he's solidly the worst. I will say, before we get to Nate, I didn't even mention LeBron in my analysis, which he's been coasting like these last 2 weeks. There's been the injury concern with him, but he's never missed a playoff game. I don't see it happening this year, even though he's older, and I do see him stepping up from what he has been in the last 2 weeks. So could very easily be a sweep if LeBron's 100% off that injury. So
I'm looking at the Timberwolves depth chart. I think it's going to become pretty quickly clear, and it really pains me to say this as a big fan of his game, but Mike Conley is not going to see the court very much in games 3 through however many it goes. He just doesn't bring enough offensively to justify the defense that he plays, which is just going to get him attacked by those 3 ball-dominant players on the Lakers. I think we'll see a lot of DiVincenzo, which honestly probably helps on both sides of the ball, except that you don't have an initiator at that point. This Timberwolves roster is kind of problematic when matching it up directly against the Lakers, especially if you don't get anything out of Julius Randle, which, you know, you want to have some faith in him after the decent regular season he just finished. You know, he's playing pretty well at the end of the season there, but we've seen him in the playoffs before. I just can't trust him. Naz Reid has been kind of having a down season compared to before, and then, I mean, you guys talked about it a lot, the Gobert problem. When the Lakers go small, where do you put him? You don't want to leave Rui open. He shoots, 42% from 3 or something. You don't want to leave DFS open. He shoots something similar. And you definitely don't want him on Reeves, Luka, or LeBron. So does he see the court against those small lineups? And if he doesn't, who's protecting the rim? It's not Julius Randle, I'll tell you that fucking much. I will say, though, I think the Timberwolves do have perimeter defenders that can slow down Luka, LeBron, and Reeves. I'm pretty high on Jaden McDaniels' defense. I'm high on Alexander Walker's. I think we'll see Jalen Clark get minutes. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I'm a Jalen Clark truther. I think we'll see a decent amount of him in this series. He's a pretty good defender. Ant is obviously no slouch on defense, but he's going to have to be doing a lot on offense, so I wonder how much effort he'll have available to give on that end. For sort of all the same reasons you guys were thinking, I am going to pick the Lakers, but I think it'll be closer because I do trust the Timberwolves defense to get some stops, even against the great offensive talents the Lakers have. I'm going Lakers in 6 or 7. I'll probably say 7. The X factor here for me is still Julius Randle. If you get even anything decent out of him, you got a chance. If you get playoff Randle, you're fucked. I'm interested to see what Finch does with Gobert, because at this point, I just don't know. I can see the argument for both playing him his normal minutes and sitting him down for longer.
The issue with that is that I don't think Nas is that much better defensively in space. If the Lakers do go 5 out with a small ball lineup, I don't think Nas is a whole lot better. You can get more from him in offense, but I don't know if that justifies,
I think you might have to match going small and play Randle at center. That's assuming Randle's not having an atrocious stinker. I don't know. I think you're put in a bad spot against this specific formulation of small ball that the Lakers have. I don't know if you guys will recall this, but we will likely see something akin to the Terrence Mann 39-point game out of DFS or Rui.
Yeah, I think Rui's been like a top 25 three-point shooter in the league this year, 40+%. Perhaps if the Lakers weren't so good from three, you could say, their defense isn't going to be, especially rim protection, isn't going to be enough to hold up. But any given night, Rui, LeBron, Reeves, Doncic, Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent sometimes can be like 40% three-point shooters on any given night. So I just don't know how you account for that, especially because it's not like they're just three-point shooters. LeBron, Reeves, and Luka are all great drivers of the ball.
I think if you're the Timberwolves, you are praying for extended minutes of Vando at center, because then you can put Gobert wherever you want. Aside from that, I don't think they really have a positive full lineup matchup that's realistic to see at all in this series. I do think they're close enough that they'll take some games and this won't be just a runaway, but yeah, I'm going with the Lakers. I'm going to kick us off here. 4-seed Nuggets, 5-seed Clippers. We're going to start with the elephant in the room here. Mike Malone got fired like 3 days ago, whenever that was.
It feels like 3 days ago.
So I don't know what sort of rotations, what sort of adjustments we're going to see from the Nuggets in this series. Obviously, you trust Jokic, but is Jamal Murray healthy? Do you trust Michael Porter Jr. at all? Aaron Gordon, I actually do trust a little bit. I think he'll probably be pretty good in the playoffs. And then aside from those top 4, what do you even have? What, Russell Westbrook? If you're hitting me with, but we got Westbrook, I'd like you to take a peek at the nearest calendar. Tell me what that date and year says.
Similar to his shooting.
As for the Clippers side, now I am a Clippers fan here, but I don't think it's unreasonable to say they've been a top at least 5 team in the league since March. I feel like that's reasonable to say. Maybe even top 3 if you wanted to. Simply everyone on the team is on fire at the moment. Will that carry over into the playoffs? There's really no way to know. I mean, obviously, if Kawhi stays healthy, he's historically been a playoff riser. I think the Harden playoff choker narrative has always been overblown, although he's never been, the same completely unstoppable player come the playoffs. But I mean, no one really is like that, and he took those Warriors teams to 7, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, just looking at the way these two teams have played over the last 15 games, that's as far back as it'll let me go on NBA.com here, but the Clippers have the best net rating, and the Nuggets are 18th. So, I mean, just in their recent form, this is a team that has looked like a contender and a team that looks like they were about to fire their coach. I'm feeling relatively confident about it. Obviously, it comes down to health. If what happens in this series, it's over. We're fucked. Right now, I'm going Clippers in probably 6, maybe 5.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, I think this is a pretty tough defensive matchup for the Nuggets because we know the way to beat Jokic is to basically just double him, blitz him, hound him, and let the other guys make shots. And the Clippers have the wing depth to do that. And Zubac also is one of the better Jokic defenders. There's obviously no single player that can stop or even really slow down Jokic, but I believe Zubac has held him to one of his lowest efficiencies in the paint among centers in the NBA. For all their like off-ball cutting stuff that like Brown and Aaron Gordon like to do, I think Norm and Kawhi are smart enough defenders to not let that happen quite as much. And they're also good at fighting around screens to sort of neutralize the MPJ and Jokic DHO thing. I do have concerns about them being able to pack a punch offensively. Playoff Harden, I agree that he was probably overblown in the Rockets days, but I think given that Harden doesn't have a huge ability to get to the rim anymore, you can kind of figure him out. Christian Brown's a pretty good defender. If you put him on him, I would probably try and keep Jamal Murray off of Harden. The Harden like ISO scoring thing is not going to happen a whole lot, but the Harden-Zubac pick and roll is what I would go to here. We've known that Jokic's weak point is pick and roll coverage. He doesn't really commit to like a drop all the way, but he's not quick enough to get up on the ball. So I think Zubac is just going to blow right by him or hit the floater if he drops back too far, which are two things he's quite good at. Without Zoo, it's going to get ugly, but that's just the way it is when you're playing Jokic. You need an elite center to even slow him down remotely. Then we've also got some injury stuff with Jamal Murray. He's looked okay since he's come back. I think he's played 2 games, but I'm still a little concerned about his ability to get past like the big perimeter defense guys. So I think ultimately it comes down to shooting from him and Christian Brown, and unfortunately, if you're a Nuggets fan, Russell Westbrook. Although they have toned down his minutes with their new coach. Speaking of the coach, I think that's another area where it's a big mismatch in the Clippers' advantage. Ty Lue can, really mix it up with defensive schemes, and I have my doubts about Adelman's ability to adjust to that. I have not seen a whole lot of Nuggets basketball since Malone's firing, but I have my doubts about a rookie coach being able to handle some Ty Lue defensive looks. So for that, I'm going Clippers in 6.
Yeah, this series is probably the hardest for me to predict out of all the series. The Nuggets obviously have the best player in the some say in the world. Pretty much, yeah, he's best player in the world, best player in the series for certain. The only thing is the Kawhi injury history. And Nate, when was the last fully healthy Kawhi playoff run? Was he even on your team yet?
Yeah, it was the year of our Lord 2020.
I'd have to go 7 if I go Clippers, just based on that. If I'm still torn. I don't even know right now. But I think the Clippers obviously are the much better defensive team. Offensively, I'm not sure how that holds up. But the Nuggets don't have a perimeter defender really. That was one of my major concerns starting off the season, was they lost KCP and they kind of needed him to stick the opposing team's best player. I do think Zubac is a really good matchup for a good player to have to match up against Jokic. And yeah, I'm not moved by Russ. And obviously the Clippers have been rolling, so I'd probably take the Clippers in 7. Harden and Kawhi have been cooking, and even if Kawhi goes down with a minor injury towards the end of the series, I could still see the Clippers winning that. So obviously hoping that he is healthy. Him and Harden are both old. The youth would go towards the Nuggets, and it really will Kawhi and Jamal Murray be fully healthy. If Kawhi gets hurt very early on in the series, I would probably take the Nuggets just because they've been rolling. I'll take the Clippers in 7. So
I mean, obviously Kawhi's injury history is a concern. I don't know. I at least me personally, I never want to make a prediction on a guy getting injured if he's not currently hurt. You know what I'm saying? So like with Jamal Murray, he's dealing with an injury right now. That could affect the series. By all accounts, at the moment, Kawhi is healthy. You hope it stays that way. And if it does, I like the Clippers' odds. I honestly don't think they're completely out of a series, even if he missed every game. I think they're in with a chance. I wouldn't pick them, but I think it's possible. A point I didn't touch on earlier that I just want to quickly get to is the Nuggets' depth versus the Clippers' depth is pretty ridiculous, honestly. Like, we're going to see at points in this series, there's going to be Chris Dunn guarding Peyton Watson or something. What do you need him on that guy for? But it's going to happen.
Not moved by DeAndre Jordan off the bench, I see.
If he sees minutes for the Nuggets, that is simply a disaster for them.
I mean, I think he's got to.
I've been pulling up the matchup history of all these and of all these teams, and DeAndre Jordan played like 24 minutes against the Clippers the last time they matched up, I think, or one of the times they matched up. So he certainly will. I mean, they could go small, but probably will see the floor for 6 minutes a night.
Yeah, that's
they've been like splitting him and Saric for the backups.
I think either one, you're honestly comfortable sticking Ben Simmons on, matching their 6 minutes a night. I think you live with that. All right, that'll do it for our first round predictions of the 2025 playoffs. Should be a fun one. It'll be interesting to see how all these storylines play out. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.